Now, I want to pull a little bit of a thread here, trying to unravel the question of whether or not libs are dumb or evil, right? Because there's two schools of thought here. There's several people that I think are just evil by nature because I don't think they're stupid. Barack Obama is one of those people. I don't think he's dumb. Nancy Pelosi is another one. She's definitely not dumb. Therefore, she has to be lying/evil. On the other hand, there are several prominent libs that have been so outspoken on various issues in ways that, I don't know, more intelligent people would be, that you have to wonder, okay, are these people sliding into the very, very stupid column? I want to pull the thread on that with this particular individual who happens to be the front runner in the state of California for the race for governor coming up here next year. Former Congresswoman Katie Porter was known for having her whiteboards at Congress and making dumb accusations of mostly business people, talking about their pay rates and all that sort of stuff. It was fun to laugh at the time. Well, apparently she's now the front runner for California governor to replace the gruesome Newsom governor guy, and it's concerning. The reason we're talking about her specifically is because she's been in the news, or at least on social media the last couple days, when she did one of the weirdest things during an interview, but also kind of indicative of how libs tend to feel during interviews. If they're tough questions, I don't want to do it because nobody should question my authority. We're going to play this entire clip. It's rather long. We may pause in a little bit to discuss. But this is the lady we're building a case against here. Is Katie Porter dumb or evil, or some mix of both? Watch this and we'll discuss.
You need any of those 40% of California voters to win, and you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered.
I don't care.
Follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never had to do
reporter.
this before, ever.
Isn't that classic lib? Hey, you're asking tough questions, and I don't want to answer the tough question. If we're gonna have follow-ups to these questions that were pre-approved by my team because I'm the front runner, I will not do it. She's leaning more in the stupid category. We're gonna get into a little bit of her background and even her dating history in a little bit to kind of further that point. But we'll continue this exchange, this incredibly awkward exchange from, again, a person who seeks the highest office in the state of California, running the 4th or 5th, depending on how you count statistically, largest economy in the world, can't sit through a little interview. We'll keep rolling.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you. And I don't...
All right, we probably don't need to go forward with that. I wanted to get to that specific point. I am a leader, and you know what leaders do? Quit when something gets a minor amount difficult, because that is what leaders do. They also apparently don't run or eat salad, but we don't need to talk about that. That's rude. It's an unflattering angle. Not sure any angle is flattering, but just hey, we're not going to go there, guys. Now, the question of whether or not she's dumb or evil remains, which led us to go down the rabbit hole of her dating life and marriage experience. She has got 3 kids. She lives in Orange County. She was a congressperson in a very, in my opinion, red area. But you know how Dems kind of mess with all of the elections. You don't have to show an ID to vote. You have ballot harvesting across the state. That's probably why she won in what she calls a purple district, but it's Orange County, California. It's pretty red where she is. But hey, if you can cheat to win, what's stopping you from doing so, especially if you have no moral compass whatsoever, as former Congresswoman Katie Porter seems to have. But I was just curious, what is her life like in my quest? In my quest to figure out if she is stupid or evil. She was married to a guy who she filed for divorce for in 2013, and it was not a fun divorce by all of the accounts read. It's very contentious, very problematic, especially with the custody battles over the kid. Now, that doesn't necessarily say a whole lot, except for the follow-up boyfriend, which I thought was really fascinating. She has filed a restraining order in the last year against the guy that she was dating for a very long time, one Julian Willis, who had been hospitalized twice since late 2022 on involuntary psychiatric holds due to a history of abusing prescription drugs and painkillers. Again, not Katie Porter's fault. However, what kind of person dates these kinds of people, right? Again, bad on him. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt or abused in any way, shape, or form. But if you have to file a restraining order against somebody that you're in a relationship with, I don't know entirely about your decision making. I'm not impugning anybody who has had to do that sort of thing in a very different circumstance. But there's also some follow-ups to this. He actually then told Politico during this whole process that Porter sought the restraining order in order to preempt him from suing her, seeking protection for himself and her children from her. It also put a gag order on him, according to him, where he couldn't go to the media. In other words, this guy, who may very well be crazy, was met with an additional crazy force trying to stop him from going to the media and talking about this. He actually told Politico that when he moved out of Katie Porter's house, he requested police escorts to be there in case she went nuts, because, as you saw, the person in that interview is very susceptible to going nuts. He finished up the Politico interview, or the phone call, whatever he had with her, by saying, she's a monster. Which, okay, all right, a little bit, yeah, it might be that maybe he's crazy, maybe he's nuts, and maybe it takes somebody who's also nuts to date a guy who is, in fact, nuts. But don't worry, we have more video evidence of one Miss Katie Porter, starting with clip 2. Go ahead and play cut 2 here. This is her talking about her daughter. In a totally made-up story, by the way, or if it isn't, then maybe CPS needs to be involved here. After the election, watch this cut 2.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo's a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's gonna win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter.
First of all, no, she didn't. And two, if she did, where on earth would a 12-year-old get that kind of idea? Also, note the reaction between the two guys on the panel. They're like, aha, yeah, funny, she's crying, and we're kind of making up a story, and who knows, this could be a happy-go-lucky thing. What if my daughter gets raped and needs an abortion? Holy crap, lady. What kind of crazy person goes on TV and makes that as an argument? Well, actually, it's the type of person that would go on TV again and make a similar argument. This is cut 11, where she talks about why inflation is bad and the reason that we need, well, sorry, not talking about why inflation is bad. She's talking about inflation and what families might be able to do to help themselves through inflation. Cut 11.
How does inflation compare to this newly important, in the sense of the Supreme Court decision pending, abortion issue? How do those two issues compare?
Well, I don't think they compare. I think they actually reinforce each other. So the fact that things like inflation can happen and it can become more expensive to feed your kids and to fuel your car is exactly why people need to be able to be in charge of how many mouths they're going to have to feed.
So if inflation gets too bad and food becomes too expensive, here's an idea from, again, Katie Porter. Go ahead and kill your kids. That's a good place to start there. Don't start with cutting back on spending. Don't start by trying to find a bigger, better job. Don't try and look around or different areas to live that might not be as expensive. And again, inflation is not good. It's hitting everybody hard. But I think the last step, actually, no, this is not even a step. We're not even going to go there and pretend that this is an option. But her suggestion, again, is first and foremost, go ahead and murder your kids. And if you don't have more mouths to feed, that's actually going to make inflation better for you. It's going to make Biden inflation better if you just murder half your family and then go that route. It doesn't stop there. There are clip after clip after clip, which again, we will bring to you. This is one Katie Porter talking about Lake and Riley and the horrifying incident that, in her own words, well, that actually shouldn't have much of an effect. Cut 12.
This happens, I think whenever we're dealing with violent crime, there is a sense of outrage, of sadness, and of loss. But I think the important thing to focus on is any one instance shouldn't shape our overall immigration policy.
Yeah, this beautiful young girl that was killed by a criminal illegal immigrant, this shouldn't shape any policy or decision-making or anything like that because, well, of course, all of these murders done by criminal illegal immigrants are just isolated incidents. Why would we close the border just because some Americans are getting slaughtered by illegals? Why would we do that? Again, we're trying to figure out if she's stupid or evil. And I'm kind of leaning to both in some way. But this one's the kicker. This is this one I think takes the cake here. This is Katie Porter talking about pedophiles, and I'll just leave it at that. Cut 13.
This allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity.
All right. I don't even think we need to comment necessarily on that. I am getting, while watching that video, both vibes, just looking at her. Very stupid, but also stupid leading to evil. So that's, I think, where I'm going to fall on this ultimately. Yeah, pedophilia. Just, it's just who they are. Just, okay. All right. Good luck with making that argument to the general populace. But here's the thing. It's not just her. There are several people that I think are actually dumb. Katie Porter actually went to Harvard, and I'm not sure if this was like a DEI thing where she got into Harvard, or, again, she's more evil than stupid. I kind of tend to lean TBT at tbusa.com. Let us know in the email whether you think she's stupid or evil, because this is really, there are only two options there. Or maybe like a gradation of like 40% evil, 60% stupid. I'd love to see those. TBT at tbusa.com.